Hey everybody, it is Record Time with Chris, episode 15. Good to see you. And today's discussion topic is retronym. Now, what is a retronym? Well, retronym is a name that we use when we have to go back, retro. We have to go back and give something a new name because of some kind of technological thing change. So an example would be, we used to have gasoline. Then, when unleaded gasoline was invented, we had to call, what we used to call gasoline, we had to call unleaded, or unleaded gasoline, and then we just shortened it to unleaded. And now it's back to being gasoline because you don't sell lead gasoline anymore. Now, another example of that, well, I got a little story for you. So when I was a little kid, my dad had a box of cool stuff up in the attic, and he would, from time to time, just be generous and let me go up and pick something cool out of this box. And it was, what? It was a box of 45s. That's what we call these things. See right here? 45. We call these things 45s, even though it confused me because I had these story records that they were the same size, but these ran at 33. So I kind of was like, well, I think I'd call these like a 33-45 or something like that. It was tough. It was tough. So then, you know, when I was around 20 or so, I told my dad, hey, you know what? My band is going to put out a 7-inch. Now, he didn't know what a 7-inch was. So I finally had to, he's like, well, a 7-inch, what? Is that a like, poster? You know, what is a 7-inch? What is a 7-inch? And I said, oh, well, a 7-inch is what we used to call a 45, but they started making 45s that are 10 inches wide or 12 inches wide. So now we call so that's why we have to call it a 7-inch. So anyway, that's that. Now I want to rewind a little bit. There was about, you know, my parents told me around the time I was like 12 or so that I was going to be on an album. That this is the choir that my brother and I sang in. It was a professional choir. We used to tour and stuff. That's me right there, and that's my brother. Well, here, tall guy right there with the 80, you know. Anyway, that was an album, and we called that an album, even though, you know, it wasn't an album like this kind of old record. Here we have a 10-inch that goes to 33, but this was actually in an album. We called that an album. So then a few years later, CDs came out, and there was confusion because when you said, oh, do you have that Steeleye Span album, people wouldn't know if you meant the CD or the record. And what's funny, though, is that we never got confused with cassettes or 8-tracks. So you have cassette, 8-track, and album. Oh, and this reminds me, the Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the reissue series is now extending into ones that I don't think have ever been reissued before. So Works Volume 2, Works Volume 1, and Love Beach are being reissued on CD and vinyl this summer. And there are some bonus tracks. I think that, like Love Beach, so if you want the Love Beach demos, they're on there. But back to the story. So we would say album, and then we had to start saying, well, what do you have that album on? So I'd say, oh, well, I have the CD, or I have it on CD, or I have it on vinyl. So when we started talking about having something on vinyl, I think my grandparents probably would have thought, vinyl, we left it on the record on the back seat of the car on the vinyl slipcover and say, don't leave your record in the car, it'll warp. So I guess the point I'm trying to make, oh yeah. And now, then you could say now, today we got record store, like for record store day, some people would buy a vinyl, and some people might buy several vinyls, and so I guess the point I'm trying to make is the names for things change. And in my opinion, call it whatever you want. Call it LP, whatever you want to call it a PVC if you wish. as long as you're listening to it and enjoying it, it's cool with me what you call it. And some people might feel differently, but that's my feeling on it. So let's talk about what's coming out now. Today's May 5th, 2017. So one thing I want to show you that's pretty exciting. It's, May is Mental Health Month, or Mental Health Awareness Month. So there is this reissue of Bad Brains album, and this has been out of print on vinyl for quite some time. This is some of the proceeds are going to mental health awareness charities. The JED Foundation, JED, I believe is at least one of the recipients, or maybe it's the only one. It is on transparent green vinyl. Here we go, and it's a little yellower here. It's actually a little bluer than it looks here. It's a nice, like, if you think of like the color of like an old poker chip, maybe, or a lime lollipop. But let me show you the inside. So look at this. I wish that today was May 4th, because this obviously would be perfect for Star Wars Day. It looks like the Millennium Falcon inside, but man, look at all those. What a cool thing. So, one of the nice, this just reminds us, right, what's nice about a record is that you get the cool artwork, nice and big. So definitely, and it's one of the later Bad Brains albums. So if you haven't, if you loved them in the 80s and the 90s, this is really the same thing. Sounds very much like their classic stuff. So check it out if you haven't bought it yet. Another one of today's releases is there's The Sword. They have a live album. It's on CD and on vinyl, or on vinyl. And there is this poster that is kind of small. It's a nice shot from like above behind the drummer. So there's a poster there, but obviously that would look better if it's in the vinyl package and it's full size. It would be pretty cool. Now you see they still have the like science fiction motif here, but the sound of the stuff, there's only synthesizer at the beginning of one song. Most of this is sort of throwback to their earlier kind of like more Viking metal, dark type of sound. In fact, this has Maiden, Mother, and Crone and the Horned Goddess on here. Pretty dark take on John the Revelator. So a bunch of stuff on here from their early albums. Sounds more like it. So if you like that pure kind of sound, then you'll enjoy this. And another thing I should mention is, for me, the Sword was one of those bands where I first heard it, was like, whoa, people make music like this? This is awesome. And then you can go into Graveyard and Cadaver, and I found all these other great bands that I hadn't quite realized existed. So that's very cool. Let me just get a sip of coffee here. So what else is out today? A couple things I want to mention. Maine guy from Wells, Maine, the most famous musician from Wells, Maine, probably maybe the only one, Spose. He's a rapper. He's got a new album out called Good Luck With Your Life, and it is great. Everybody who's heard it is loving it. I've only heard the one song that was in the, he released it first in an app, and you had to unlock the songs if you played this game, but I was only able to unlock one, so I thought that was pretty great. Anyway, people are flipping out over it. They're loving it, and it's he's from Maine, but I mean, it's selling all over the place. And he made a, I wish I could show you one, but we don't want to waste them. He made this thing called the Grandma Edition, which actually includes real, actual cross-stitch in a hoop. And then in the back of it is a metal tin that has a bonus CD. And I think that at least some of the tracks, or maybe all the tracks on there, will never be available in any other form. So this is one of those things that sold out within a couple hours of him announcing it. It's very, very exciting. Pre-orders went nuts. So that's really great. He's a cool guy, and his the producer, Goddamn Chan, I think he's from Maine too, and it's really great. It's always great. One of the things about an independent music store is, we're always often the first to kind of champion or even notice artist that's coming out of wherever, this small town, like in Spose's case. And so part of our role, as a lot of us see it, is to help these people get to the next level, help them get their music heard, give their fans a place to buy it, pay them. That's an important thing, pay them for their music, so that way they can keep going. A couple other things. the Nick Cave box set that I showed in a video around April 7th or 8th. That's out. It's also, it's like a retrospective, and there's a like one CD version, I think, and there's vinyl, and there's like a 3 CD version. But the fancy one is the one I showed in the thing. Also in the indie world, Slow Dive. Today they have an indie exclusive out. It's on silver vinyl. Chris Robinson Brotherhood CD and vinyl. It's Betty's Blends Volume 3. That's you know, one of their live series that is always very well received, you know, because they're a good live band. Mac DeMarco has white vinyl. That's an indie exclusive. There's also at the drive-in, I don't think this is an indie exclusive, but it's deep purple with Grimace splatter vinyl. So I haven't seen that, but I guess 2 colors of purple? I don't know. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Oh, a couple other things I just want to mention quickly. So there's, so I showed this before. This is one of the Record Store Day pieces from this year. It is really cool looking. I'll drop in a little video right here of how it looks on a turntable. And there's a cool story behind this. Back in the 50s, you know, Western culture was, the Soviet Union kind of blocked it, didn't want a lot of Western influence coming in. So if people wanted Western music, jazz or whatever, they'd have to bootleg it. So somebody figured out, one of the bootleggers figured out how to bootleg onto old X-rays. So this is a picture disc to kind of make it look like one of these, they call them bone records, because they were just etched into different records, into different things. This and this particular one is cool because it was the premiere performance of the Shostakovich's second piano concerto, and he was in attendance at it, and his pupil, Rostropovich, was the one who played cello. Now, this was recorded, obviously, in the Soviet Union, but then Shostakovich kind of fell out of favor, and I think he was exiled or had to leave or was imprisoned or something, so they were going to destroy it, but somebody put it in a different tape box so that the authorities wouldn't ruin the recording. So it's a historically important recording in a really cool package. The other thing I want to mention to you is a very cool mystery book series. This is called The Vinyl Detective, right? And the first one was called Written in Dead Wax. This came out last year. The second one will be out this summer, and it is a really, I mean, if you like mysteries, this is more on the sort of cozier side of a mystery. It's not quite thrilling, you know, there's nobody being like tortured on camera the way that there are on some. It's funny, but there are also a lot of things that vinyl collectors will totally get. This whole story is based on what is written in the dead wax on some very rare records, and the guy here is a record flipper who, you know, so he's going to flea markets and boot sales and charity shops looking for these rare records, and it's all, anyway, I think you'll enjoy it. And I'm gonna take off. Oh, next time around, I'll show you what this thing is. I have a meeting now, so I gotta split, but until the next video, I hope you are listening to something awesome. So long.